Alright folks, in this video I'm going to explain the map of the Battle of Waterloo. Now, as you can see, it's a really big map. The actual battlefield is 140 centimeters wide and 80 centimeters deep. As you can see, the map is divided into operational squares. Each operational square measures about 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters, and it covers basically the whole battlefield of Waterloo, with the three key points that Field Marshal Wellington used to position his army in a defensive position. So we have Haye Sainte in the center, we have the farm of Hougoumont, or the chateau of Hougoumont, on his right, and we have here on the left side the farm of Papelotte. On the French side, we see here La Belle Alliance. This is where Blucher and Wellington met after the battle. And we have here on our left side, or the French right side, the village of Plancenoit, which was very heavy fought for control, because this village threatened Napoleon's right flank. So it's really important. It was important for Napoleon. This village didn't fall in the Allied hands. What else can we see on the map? We have here on each side we have a chart. This is the chart where you can see the units' abilities on the battlefield. So we have the infantry abilities, the cavalry abilities, the artillery, the generals, and we have the gaming modes, and it's ending with the spots for the lucky cards. So each side can consult at any time in battle. If you don't forget, if you have forgotten the abilities of certain units, you can see them here, right here, and as well on the side of the French. Yeah, so this is the main setup. Then we have on the right side, from the Allied side, we have the title of the battle. And this is important to know, that on the title of the battle you have the date, and you also have the commanders of both sides who is involved in the Battle of Waterloo. Yeah. So from the Allies we see Field Marshal Wellington, General Uxbridge, General Picton, the Prince of Orange, and the reinforcements coming from Plancenoit and the east with Marshal Blucher. Obviously, we have on the French side, we have Napoleon, we have Marshal Ney, we have General Kellerman, General D'Erlon, and Marshal Grouchy coming in as well from the southeast in support in the alternative timeline in Napoleon's right flank. Yeah, important to know that each commander has his own display, and on its display is also mentioned their command. So as you can see, Wellington is able to command infantry, cavalry and artillery, and has a reach of 3 squares in all directions. Yeah? So which means his influence reach is 3 squares from the positions where he is in all directions. So it's a big range of influence that Wellington can command infantry, cavalry and artillery. The command is really simple. It adds an extra bonus range in the movement on the troops on the battlefield. General Uxbridge, for example, has only the command able to have an extra add an extra moving range for the cavalry, Picton for the infantry. We have the Prince of Orange, who's able to command infantry, cavalry, artillery, and Blucher infantry and cavalry. So it's really important that you know the abilities of the commanders on the battlefield, so you can know what they are able to do and how fast they are able to move troops on the battlefield and which kind of troops. Yeah. In time you will know by heart which general or which commander can do what and what their reach zone or reach of influence is on the battlefield. Yeah. Now we have here on the left side we have the timeline, and the timeline, you know, by now we are using a time icon. So for the Battle of Waterloo, the French opened the battle, so we have the first move, and as you know, every side has 4 action points to play with per turn. So which means in each turn there are 8 action points to be played by both sides. An action point can be moving units on the battlefield. An action point can be engaging units on the battlefield. So every time both sides have finished their 4 action points, the timeline moves to the next round. Also important to know that on the timeline you have the historical timeline and you have the alternative timeline. Now the historical timeline is marked with a dark brown rectangle, so symbols that you can recognize the events that took place on that day. And the alternative timeline is marked in the orange icon. So we added this in an exciting turn of events. For example, we know here that Marshal Grouchy arrived at turn 27 to support Napoleon on his right flank. So all these events here are marked on the timeline. So you can play the game in the historical mode, where you can follow the dark icon, for example here at turn 12, the death of General Picton, which leave the Allied side temporarily with 3 generals, and the arrival with Blucher here at turn 20, that gives them another general on the field to have the bonus ranges for the troops during the battle. Yeah. So this is the timeline, and the thing is, you can play it all out. You have 36 turns, but if the battle is still raging and there is no real decision to be made, both sides can decide to continue the battle without the timeline. So it has 36 turns. In each turn, each side plays 4 action points. Yeah. So this is the battlefield of Waterloo, the timeline section, the title section with all the commanders' abilities that you can see. We have this section with the troops' abilities, so if you have forgotten what they can do, just check the chart for the cavalry, infantry, artillery, or the generals what they can do. It's pretty easy. And as well we have here on the map, we have the artillery icons. Yeah. So this is the high ground that you can use. You put your artillery just in front of the icon or on it. I prefer you put it just in front or behind it, so the other side can see you are using the heights. If you take that position with the artillery has instead of 4 squares in range in all direction, it has 5 squares. So you have a bigger range to target units across the battlefield. Yeah. The French as well as here on their side, they have 3 high points they can use to place their artillery. Now on the left side, here from the Allied side, you will see those black arrows. Yeah. These are the squares that the Prussians in turn 20 can start to enter the battle. Now how do you enter the battle? You can add 4 units as wish per square to enter the battle. Yeah. The general Blucher doesn't count as a unit, so which means if you want to enter 4 units, you can add Blucher as well. Yeah. For the French side, we see there the blue arrows. This marks the entrance squares or ways for the French to arrive on the battle in support of Napoleon. So you can see there 4 blue arrows marking the entrance of which way they come into the battlefield. Yeah. So also we have the woods. Now the woods is a very good position or ground to fight in defense position, because the woods, units in the woods are covered from artillery fire. Yeah. Here at the farm of Hougoumont we have a big woods that was there, which was placed by Wellington with his troops in order to defend the surroundings of Hougoumont. Yeah. And on the maps you will see here, for example, the region of Papelotte, there are also some woods, and here in Haye Sainte a little part of woods. So this is really important to place units if you set up your game, to put them in the woods or take the woods in order to get protected by the artillery and in order to get a position to fire to incoming units. Yeah. What else can we see on the map? We can see roads, a lot of roads. Yeah. Now, roads are really important for 2 things. It is a way for the cavalry and the artillery to cross woods, because they cannot enter woods directly. Yeah, so they can enter woods by using the roads. Yeah, so really important that you know this. For example, if this cavalry unit was here, it wants to go there. It can go this way, but it can also go directly using the roads to this position. Yeah. The same goes, for example, if the cavalry unit is here, you know the cavalry has a range of 1, 2, 3 squares in all directions, which means this is the whole field it can move its units to. Now, moving the cavalry, as you know, you can move them freely, yeah, but if you are charging, it must be in a straight line. So for example, if this cavalry unit was here, you can move it through the woods to the desired position where you want to put your cavalry. Yeah. So this is the overview of the battlefield of Waterloo. So you know it's divided into operational squares. The squares are 10 by 10 centimeters wide. So you can put 2 or more units in column formation or next to each other. Yeah. You have the title of the battle with generals who are committed to battle and their statistics and what they are able to do. You have the unit chart and information where you can consult at any time in the battle. Okay, I need light infantry, how far can they go, what can they do? You can all find this information on this side. Same for the French. And we have the timeline. It is moved per turn. So when every side has played 4 action points per turn, when the turn is finished, you move the time icon to the next turn, and so on, and so on, and so on. Yeah. The entrance of the Prussian reinforcements. In the alternative timeline, we have the French reinforcement coming from that direction. We have the heights icon to put your artillery to have a longer range to fire, and the roads, of course, and the woods. And this is really an amazing game, an amazing battle to fight. In a normal game, we play about 3-4 hours. And when it is possible, we also played 5 to 6 hours. It all depends how fast things are moving on the battlefield. But you can easily play 3.5 hours, 4 hours to finish the game. Yeah, and even longer. So it's a game you can do with people who have experience in using our engine for Napoleonic wargaming. Or you can play just at a simple mode, at the general mode, which is much easier to understand, so you can explain and play a couple of rounds so they get what units can do. And it's accessible for everybody without too much technical knowledge of the era, without too much knowing about scaling and all this stuff. It's just made to have a broad public who can really play and enjoy the game. So thank you for watching this. This is the Battle of Waterloo. Some of you have already bought it, some of you are already building the units, so we hope you enjoy, and you have questions, please leave them here at this video and we will answer them as soon as possible. Thank you and have fun with the game.